What do you think are the top three perceptual distor- distortions that employees are most likely to be affected by when when, when forming perceptions of a new manager? I'm going to define my answer. When employees are introduced to a new manager, they often begin forming opinions almost immediately. In many cases, these opinions are formed before the manager has had enough time to demonstrate their actual leadership style or abilities. I believe the three perceptual distortions employees are most likely to experience are stereotyping, the hollow effect, and selective perception. The first distortion is stereotyping. Stereotyping occurs when people can make assumptions about someone based on characteristics such as age, gender, race, appearance, educational background, or previous job experience. Employees sometimes enter a workplace with preconceived ideas about what a manager should look for or how a manager should behave. For example, if a manager is very young, some employees may automatically assume they lack experience or authority. On the other hand, if a manager is older, employees may assume they are resistant to change or less familiar with technology. These assumptions can be unfair because they are based on general generalizations rather than observations. The second distortion is the halo effect. The halo effect occurs when one positive characteristic influences how people view all of a person's other characteristics. For example, if a new manager is confident, well-spoken, and friendly during the first meeting, an employee may immediately assume they are not highly competent in every area of management. They may believe the manager is organized, knowledgeable, and effective simply because they made a good first impression, while positive first impressions can be valuable. They do not necessarily tell the entire story. A manager who communicates well may still struggle with the decision-making, conflict resolution, or delegation. The halo effect can cause employees to overlook weakness or challenges that become apparent later. The third distortion is selective perception. This occurs when people focus only on information that supports their existing beliefs while ignoring information that contradicts those beliefs. If an employee decides early on that a manager is unfair, they may pay close attention to situations that appear to confirm that belief. At the same time, they may ignore examples that demonstrate fairness or consistency. This can create a cycle where employees continue reinforcing their original opinion regardless of the evidence presented to them. I think these distortions are especially common because first impressions are powerful. People naturally want to quickly understand new leaders and predict how those leaders will affect their jobs. However, those quick judgments are not always accurate. I have personally seen situations where employees judge supervisors before really getting to know them. In some cases, employees intentionally dislike a manager because they seem strict, but later discovered that the manager was fair, supportive, and committed to helping the team succeed. Conversely, some managers who made excellent first impressions struggle to earn long-term respect because their actions did not match their words. Because of these experiences, I believe the employees should remain open-minded when evaluating new managers, taking time to observe leadership behaviors over weeks or months instead of relying on first impressions can lead to more accurate perceptions and healthier workplace relationships. Prompt 2. Describe what to do in a difficult work situation to protect yourself from falling prey to fundamental attribution error. Fundamental attribution error is a common mistake people make when they assume that another person's behavior is caused by personality or character rather than considering external factors that may have influenced the situation. In other words, people often judge others more harshly than they judge themselves. To protect myself from falling prey to fundamental attribution error, I would first make a continuous effort to gather facts before forming conclusions. In a stressful situation, it is easy to become frustrated and assume the worst about someone. However, taking a moment to gather information can provide a more complete understanding of what happened. For example, imagine a coworker fails to complete an important task that directly impacts their responsibilities. My immediate reaction might be to think that the coworker is lazy, careless, or unprofessional. However, if I stop doing work, yeah. Mike, you close the door. For example, imagine a coworker fails to complete an important task that directly impacts my responsibilities. My immediate reaction might be to think that the coworker is lazy or careless or unprofessional. However, if I stop and investigate further, I may discover that they were dealing with an unusually heavy workload, received unclear instructions, experienced a family emergency, or encountered unexpected technical problems. These circumstances could significantly change how I interpret their actions. Another strategy I would use is asking questions rather than making assumptions. Communication is one of the most effective ways to avoid misunderstandings. Instead of assuming negative intentions, I could respectfully ask the coworker about the situation and give them an opportunity to explain their perspective. Often, conversations reveal information that is not immediately visible from the outside. I will also remind myself that everyone has challenges that are not always obvious. People bring stress. My bad. People bring stress, health concerns, family responsibilities, and other pressures to work every day. Just because I cannot see those challenges does not mean they do not exist. Maintaining empathy helps me avoid rushing to judgment. Additionally, I would reflect on how I would want others to view me if I make a mistake, if I missed a deadline because of circumstances beyond my control. I will hope that my coworker would consider the situation rather than immediately label me as irresponsible. Applying that same level of understanding to others promotes fairness and professionalism. I remember situations at school and at work when misunderstandings occurred simply because people assumed they knew someone else's motives. In many cases, once the full story becomes known, the situation looked at very differently. These experiences taught me the importance of slowing down and considering alternative explanations before forming opinions. Ultimately, avoiding fundamental attribution error requires patience, empathy, communication, and critical thinking. By focusing on facts rather than assumptions, we can make their judgments and build stronger work relationships. Prompt 3, praise can be a type of positive reinforcement used by managers. List at least 3. So positive reinforcement is an important management tool because it encourages employees to continue displaying desired behaviors. When employees feel appreciated and rewarded for their contributions, they are often more motivated, productive, and committed to organizational goals. Besides praise, one positive reinforcement commonly used in the workplace is financial rewards. These rewards may include bonuses, performances, incentives, commissions, profit sharing, opportunities, or salary increases. Financial rewards can be powerful motivators because they provide a direct and tangible benefit for strong performances. Employees often appreciate seeing a clear connection between their efforts and their compensation. A second positive reinforcement is promotion opportunities. Promotions recognize employees' achievements while also providing increased responsibility, authority, and career advancement. Employees who see their opportunities for growth within an organization are often more motivated to develop their skills and contribute to many success. A third positive reinforcement is workplace flexibility. Many organizations reward strong performance with flexible schedules, remote work opportunities, additional paid time off, or preferred shifts. These benefits can slightly improve work-life balance and demonstrate trust between employees and management. A fourth positive reinforcement is professionally development opportunities. Managers may reward employees by providing training programs, certifications, leadership development courses, conferences, or mentoring opportunities. These experiences help employees grow professionally by increasing their value to the organization. A fifth positive reinforcement is public recognition. Many companies recognize employees through Employee of the Month program, company newsletters, award ceremonies, or team management. Public recognition allows employees to feel appreciated and respected by both management and coworkers. Of all reinforcements, the one I find the most motivating is advancement opportunities. While financial rewards are not certainly valuable, I believe long-term career growth can provide motivation that extends beyond a temporary bonus. I'm gonna do prompt 4. In the company, describe managers publicly reprimand employees to show favoritism and encourage coworkers to report one another for mistakes. Based on social cognitive theory, these practices will likely create a culture characterized by fear, distrust, competition, and self-preservation. Employees will quickly learn that avoiding punishment is more important than collaboration because managers publicly criticize mistakes. Workers may become afraid to take risks, offer new ideas, or admit errors. Favoritism would further damage the workplace morale. Employees may begin believing that success is determined more by personal relationships with the manager. That's what they'll start thinking, really. I found myself working in this environment. I would try to remain professional, focus on ethical behavior, and maintain positive relationships with co-workers whenever possible. I will also evaluate whether their organization's culture aligns with my personal values and long-term career goals. In my opinion, the strongest organizations are built on trust, respect, and teamwork rather than fear and favoritism.